looks like Joe Flacco is going to be able to get it done. I saw something, I saw some, like, I watched that highlights and I watched some of the game, the Packers and the Bengals from last week. And the last video that I did had to do with Mike Tomlin has something to say. I thought I saw something there. You can see the connection early. Jamar Chase and Flacco had something going. And yes, I was on the phone with somebody and they're like, well, Jamar Chase, I could throw the ball to Jamar Chase. Not me, but them. I could throw the ball to Jamar Chase and he'd have a good game. True. I mean, he's that good for sure. But there's a cheat code there. You see, Joe Flacco, he knows what he's doing. Clearly, right? That's the appeal of being in the league for so long and people want you because, like I was saying, turnover free football. As far as in theory, I questioned it. I will not sit here and say that I knew this was going to happen all along. The stats from Cleveland weren't that hot. And I didn't watch a ton of Cleveland Browns football, but what I saw was a lot of short stuff, right? But, it's different. Every team operates differently. But when I was watching the highlights, when I was watching some of the game from the Packers and Bengals last week, the Bengals lost, it was in Green Bay. I saw it, and I said, I see something there. Joe Flacco's going to keep the Bengals in this season. They are going to be competitive. They're going to stay and keep their head above water. And in fact, they're going to stay in this fight. And I would not be surprised if they make it to the playoffs. I mean, Flacco, Chase, and Higgins. If whatever continues, or what we've been seeing continues, you see, Flacco knows what he's doing. It's not complicated. You have a guy like Chase, you're gonna get him the ball. It's not difficult. Like in theory, he knows what he needs to do. In two games so far, Flacco's throwing the Chase. You know what the stats are? 26 catches, 255 yards, 2 touchdowns, 35 targets. He targeted him 35 times in 2 games. That's all you need to know right there. Flacco knows what he needs to do. And what's interesting, to add to that, just to tell you what he did tonight, 16 catches, 161 yards, and a touchdown on 23 targets. So yeah, last week he was targeted 12 times. This week he was targeted 23 times. That's 35 times. So what I find interesting too is that today was 10.1 yards a catch. Last week was 9.4 yards a catch. You see, the cheat code is this. Jamar, we all know, is the deep threat. He can do whatever, but he gets the ball, you can throw him a bomb, he's going to catch it. But what he's been very, very good at, and what Joe Flacco has been doing, is literally a cheat code. Line him up in the slot, make one move, and just get it to him. Make a move and get it to him. And Flacco's throwing it, the perfect ball right here, in the perfect spot, and it's pitch and catch. It's pitch and catch. So they have a quarterback who is a very good, passer, accurate passer. He can assess the field, but he knows what he wants to do, clearly. And he throws a good ball. And then you have 2 receivers, and Higgins, who's a very good hands catcher, catches great with his hands. And he's a big guy and can get open and create space. You got that. And then you have Chase, who's just super quick, crazy athlete as well. A crazy athlete. It's just pitch and catch. You're pitching it and you're catching it. So Higgins, and I was saying, Higgins is going to come alive too. One of the videos I said, Higgins is going to come alive too. He hasn't been doing too hot. I said, 62 yards last game against the Packers. Well, what they do, right? But you know what? That was the most yards he's had all year. And what has he done today? 6 catches, 96 yards, 16 yards per catch. He had that big catch. He had that 28-yard catch, right? 25-yard catch to set up the field goal. He had 10 targets and a touchdown. So, listen, that's what's going to go down. What a weird, and to add, what a weird, I just got to say this, competitive game, right? Two defenses really that, suspect, I guess, short week. I know the Steelers last week, they let the Browns only scored 9 points, right? But there's a lot going there. Rookie quarterback. Steelers are not going to lose to a rookie quarterback, right? That's just not something they don't do. But Flacco, he's seen these guys so many times. And there's holes in that Steelers defense, and so much so that they gave up 470 yards today. 27 first downs. 6.7 yards a play they gave up. But don't sleep on Pittsburgh's offense tonight. I mean, Aaron Rodgers threw for 249 yards, but Pittsburgh has 7.3 yards a play and 396 yards of offense themselves. They ran the ball well today. So it was interesting. The 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers versus the 40-year-old Joe Flacco. That alone is historical, right? They said it's just two old guys going at it. And you have 7 touchdowns and 2 picks between them. Flacco throws with 342, 3 touchdowns and no interceptions, a 108.6 QB rating. Aaron Rodgers throws for 249, 4 touchdowns and 2 interceptions, and 103.7 QB rating. So both quarterbacks over 40 years old, right? 40 years old, basically. And they each have QB ratings over 100, 103.7, 108.6. They combined for 7 touchdowns. It's pretty interesting. I just love these numbers and stuff. But they each threw for 7.3 yards a pass, yards of completion. 7.3 yards of completion. So it's a short game. Short game, get the ball in the playmakers' hands and let them do the work, especially for Flacco. He threw 47 times. Those are 342 and 3 touchdowns. 249 and 4 touchdowns. 2 picks, yeah, but 4 touchdowns. The old guys can still do it, right? And what's interesting is, and both starting running backs, they each ran for 100 yards. Jalen Warren had 16 carries, 127 yards, 7.9 yards a rush. Chase Brown had 11 carries, 108 yards, and 9.8 yards a rush. So both running backs run for over 100 yards for the first time all year in the same game. And then you have, what's really interesting is that 4 tight ends scored today. 4. Can we talk about that fact that Steelers, all 3 of their tight ends scored today? I know they have Cameron Hayward's brother, right? He's a tight end as well. So I can't say all 3 because they do have one more. The Steelers do. But Pat Freiermuth, I can't say his name. Pat Freiermuth, excuse me. He had 5 catches, 111 yards, and 2 touchdowns. 22.2 yards a catch. Last week, he had 11 yards total receiving. Jonnu Smith had 3 catches, 28 yards, and a touchdown. And Darnell Washington had 3 catches, a robust 2 yards. I would never tell him that. He's 6'8" and humongous. He had 3 catches, 2 yards, and 0.7 yards a catch. Hey, but he got that touchdown on 5 targets. So between the tight ends, they had 17 targets between 3 tight ends. Rodgers likes his tight ends. Especially this year with Steelers. 3 tight ends score on the Steelers. That was crazy. And Noah Fant, 4 catches, 44 yards, and a touchdown on 4 targets. So he scores. So 4 tight ends scored today. It's just weird. Both starting running backs, the starting running backs in each team run for over 100, an average nearly 8 yards and then nearly 10 yards. 4 tight ends scored, 3 for Pittsburgh, 1 for the Cincinnati. Both quarterbacks, 7.3 yards of completion. I like little things like that. I was like, oh shit, 7.3, it's random. But 3 touchdowns for Flacco, 4 touchdowns for Rodgers. QB ratings over 100. I mean, and then you got Jamar Chase with a Bengals record 16 catches in the game, 161 yards, 16 catches is the record, 161 he had on a day, 23 targets. His longest catch was 18 yards. So that's the thing, you know. Jamar is a deep threat, but he's shown that with because last week his longest catch was 19 yards as well. So 19, and then this week was 18. You know, we're accustomed to seeing Jamar have big plays, but you know he's shown you he could do it all, and we know he could do it all. Last year he led the league in targets and catches and yards and touchdowns. He's justifying why he was the number one pick in fantasy. Is that 2 years in a row now? I mean, he's now with Flacco at the helm. Fantasy owners got to be ecstatic, like even more so. I mean, Browning could get him was trying to get him the ball, but he wasn't lighting it up like this. They got themselves a quarterback. This is why the Bengals got Joe Flacco, right? This is it. Joe Flacco knows the assignment, and there's a cheat code there. Slant, get on the ball. Higgins, slant, get on the ball. Short route, get on the ball. Let these guys get the ball, make a play, make a move, get on the ball, and they make a play. It's just going to be pitch and catch all day. And then you're going to have that occasional, down the field completion. That's what it is. And then as you can see, that opened up the running game. The Bengals are going to be something. It's just obviously it always feels like it comes down to their defense. Bengals have, even when they went to the Super Bowl, it was a very common cast of players, common cast of characters, I guess you could say. I don't want to say that, but it feels like the Bengals are a team that they don't have a lot of turnover in their roster. But lately, the last couple seasons, they're starting to get, they're getting a little younger in the secondary. They got to find who their corners are going to be. It always feels like they're looking for that lockdown corner. The defensive backs that are going to make a strong impact. It doesn't feel like they usually have that, but they're trying to find it. They're trying to find them. They have an identity. I mean, they've lost some guys that we're familiar with, like, the Sam Hubbard. Sam Hubbard's not there. Mike Hilton's not there. B.J. Hill's not there. I feel like those guys were together for a bit. Jermaine Pratt is not there. Those guys, the staples, are not there, but they're implementing other guys, a younger defense. So if the Bengals can get it together defensively, which is going to, I wouldn't say because it's going to happen, right away. It might not happen this season, but if they can, get turnovers, if they can get some stops here and there, their offense, is going to give them a chance. With those two receivers healthy and doing their thing, and Flacco's going to play mistake-free football. That's what we talked about. That's what Zach Taylor was talking about. No turnovers. He knows he can't get a lot of turnovers. He knows, the Bengals defense isn't quite elite or top of the line, So, and it's hard enough to stop these offenses. But it's just, mistake-free football makes a difference. It's just Bengals. It's legit. I think it's completely legit. And if they go off into the playoffs, it would not be a surprise. I know tomorrow I was going to be saying it, First Take and all these sports shows. Are the Bengals going to make the playoffs? Is Joe Flacco going to lead the Bengals in the playoffs? That's going to be a talk. And yeah, I would not rule that out. Not at all. Not at all. And for the Steelers, they talk about getting receiver help. DK was very quiet. 52 yards, something like that. Received 3 catches, 50-something yards. Why don't they try harder to get him the ball? They should try a little harder. I'm going to look here real quick. What did they get him? What did DK even do today? Looking at the box score. How many targets he got today? DK got 5 targets. Look at the top receiver. Warren, Jalen Warren was the third leading receiver with 4 catches and 31 yards. Fearmuth, I can't say that. 111, forgive me, Pat. 111 yards. By the way, I always thought he looks like the guy from Stranger Things, or like that bad Santa guy. What is it called? Violent Night. I always thought, why are you making Christmas movies evil now? These evil producers or the directors, they can't get their perverted minds off this shit. Keep things pure, or whatever. But I was saying he looks like that actor, Pat Fearmuth. But DK, 5 targets. You gotta get this guy 9-10 targets a game. You see what the Bengals do, getting their guys, their main playmakers, their main receivers, their top playmakers, the ball. You gotta force feed it. You gotta take more shots with him. But um, that's my thing for this game. 33-31. Bengals beat the Steelers, and now the Bengals are 3-4, and the Steelers are 4-2. It's going to be a dogfight. Ravens are 1-5. I mean, Lamar is going to have to come back, but even then, the Ravens are always, even though they're very good, they have their bumps in the road. They kind of shoot themselves in the foot from time to time. And then the Browns are not supposed to win this year. It's all about the youth movement, like more so than ever. It's about the youth movement. It's about really like, fighting, getting these young guys time and attention and seeing who's going to emerge. And it seems like their running back, Judkins, is going to be, he's a powerhouse running back. And you got, Isaiah Bond, excuse me, of course it has to come out like that. Zaire Bond is a young receiver that they're looking to, unleash. I want to talk about him a little bit more. The comparison between Marcus Golden and Isaiah Bond. Some people were saying that Isaiah Bond is better than Marcus Golden. I would disagree. I want to talk about that one of these videos coming up. And then he got that. What's that kid's name? Harold Fannin Jr., the tight end. He's basically like another Njoku. It's interesting how they very similar players, it seems like. So yeah, I mean that's what's going on. So those are the gist of the teams. That's what happened in today's game, and that's what you want on Thursday Night Football. Not the boring stuff. You want action. Unless you're going against these guys in fantasy, then you're like, that sucks. But you definitely want action, and that was a good game tonight. So I'm gonna wrap this up. 16 minutes and 57 seconds. I'm going to finish, and look at that. Welcome to the YouTube Sports Network. I kept the video under 20 minutes. I'll be back tomorrow with a few. In fact, tomorrow, and I've been working on this for a day, and I just couldn't get it out today. My attention has been diverted to other things, but definitely going to get on a roll very, very soon. I'm going to get on a roll, and I want to say Keishan Butte, Edison. That's what they call him. I didn't make that up. I'm not calling him that. I'm not calling him something that they don't call him. So, Keishan Butte is my next target, because I want to talk about him. He's on the Patriots, wide receiver. So, anyway, that being said, you guys have a good night. It is now 12:27 a.m. It is October 17, 2025. Take it easy, and thanks for listening. Oh, like, share, subscribe, do whatever you got to do. Most importantly, just listen. Thank you.